Is it working? Could it perhaps be? We are live again? Are we? I don't know. It seems to have gone live on the YouTube thing. I'll just check if there's audio. Sounds good. It sounds like it works. It sounds like I am in fact live. I'm in fact liver. Okay, anyway, you didn't miss anything. I did a little mining of camera on this one, to be honest. I have to admit, I did a little mining of camera. And by mining of camera, I mean painting, petting, painting, etc., etc. But I'm not done with it yet, so you'll get to join me on this journey a little bit, I guess. If you so desire, I will continue. I've recently discovered the joy of painting, and I don't mean the Bob Ross series, I just mean in general that it's quite fun to just paint stuff. So, in a lot of ways, I just, all I do is just, I turn my brain off and I just kind of paint things, and then, you know, whenever I feel like doing something, I just do it. It's quite relaxing that way. It's a lot less stressful than thinking a lot about what I'm doing and then trying to figure out the best way to do it. Instead, it's just like, nah, let's just try some things, you know? Let's just give it a shot. And then we'll see if it works, and if it does or doesn't, I guess it's just gonna happen. Something might happen, or it might not happen, or it might explode, or it might not work, and if it doesn't work, I just scrap it and I start again, or like adjust things and change it, because I can't really do any of it, and I'm not really like, there's not a problem. It's like, oh, I'll lose the progress, or like I won't be able to get it back. It's like, nah, it's fine. Actually, I'll be able. If I you know, if something worked better about a previous version, I'll probably be able to. What height is this on? This is like way too high. I'd like some of the brightness to shine through that tree, so I think I'll be either getting rid of this layer or changing it significantly. I was wondering, maybe I should zoom the entire picture out and just include more of the frame, because the scaling might be a little wrong, but we'll see. It might happen. Might just make it, like, turn it into an expansion. But now, like, yeah, I want this. I want to be able to see some of the back layer through the tree there. I might might do something about this one as well. Maybe make it a little more hollow or something. Like, there's a hole here, but this actually blends in with the tree in the background. So perhaps be a good idea to like make the hole bigger, I think, is the point that I'd be going on about. Something like this you could maybe do. But then the problem with this is that, like, it kind of doesn't look great. That's the main problem, yeah. It's like, this isn't dark enough, first of all. So, like, slap a little bit of a darker color on it, so it actually feels like it's an inside of the log. That's something. That's something. We can make it work. We can work with that. And then add a little texture to it, because it turns out when you add random splashes, splotches of paint and color, it kind of like works. Sometimes it just works out and it looks nice. So keep piling random blobs on top of one another, and you will surely get there. It's a real painting tip, TM, from a guy that does know next to nothing about painting in terms of theory. All I can tell you is kind of what I've been doing, and even that is like conditional on the fact that I don't have much of this rationalized, really. I just go with the flow a lot of the time, so it's a little hard to actually convey and explain why I think a certain thing should be a certain way. This is too flat. Okay, I think this is just stays like that and it's good. This whole thing needs to be a different color. I'm gonna be real and honest with you. This thing, not the most greatest of colors, admittedly. Like I'm thinking of maybe first replacing it, so it's like more like this, and then it has like a little bit of a shape to it. Then adding some of these highlights, not too many, because I don't want the whole thing to feel highlighted. After all, it's a highlight, you know. If I make the highlight the entire color for the thing, then it's no longer a highlight, now is it? Right. So mayhaps a little bit of structure to it, so that you can see like the shape of the of the terrain around the log. I'm not sure about this. I might cut into it a little bit like this and then have like a rock supporting it there, so there's like a little hole behind it. Perhaps could be happening. It could be like this. We could do it. It's entirely possible, and then have a little light shining through the crack there, and that's something. That's something. You know, just the little things, and then let's just hue shift the entire thing and make it magenta. There you go. Oh, beautiful. No, that's actually not what I want to do. I gotta admit, I pulled a little prank on you. That's not actually what I want to do. I think maybe turning it more saturated and lighter, because I want it to be on the far plane, but I don't exactly want it to lose all its color, and I'm not actually up to speed enough on color theory, and by not up to speed I mean I know next to nothing about it, so it's like I don't know what color to actually pick to make this look correct, or rather how I want it to look. Just like blend it into the background as a layer, but this has very little because it's grays, so maybe gray is the way to go, just maybe not quite that gray. Maybe I should make two different colors, one for the log and one for the background, I'm thinking. Something like this, maybe, like around this color for the... well, that's too dark. Something like this for the log, I think. Something like this for the log, and then change the ground underneath to be a different color. Gooding. Goodings. Goodings for days. It's a beautiful day to gooding. I'm quite happy about taking a little break. I already feel quite regenerated, and there's like a whole week of resting, which is excellent, in fact, because I've been, as it's colloquially called, cranking. I think some people would call it that. Perhaps I would call it that as well, because it's really funny. A beautiful day in the Gooding Hood. What is this layer? Is it like a solo thing where I can like just temporarily only show the one layer at a time? I don't think I can. Filter, thumbnail size, blending info, tick box for selecting layers. What? Okay. I don't think I can do that. I think that... no, wait. Isolate active layer. Ah, I can. Bang. Check it out. Technology. We've advanced as a society. There's also like all this garbage over here that I should probably get rid of. Wait, this is actually huge. I just realized the implications of this for the future of humanity. Gigantic. What? What? Okay. Why is it recoloring that? Oh, I see. Because I literally told it to do that. Never mind. Never mind. Cancel the protests. I am no longer asking for financial support. I think there's three modes to this tool. You can fill the active selection, you can fill contiguous region, and then regions of similar color. And then similar color doesn't care if it's like next to one another, it's anywhere in the layer / picture. And I have that selected, so it's entirely my fault. In short, it is entirely my fault. Isolate What is pin to timeline? It's probably something to do with animation, which is like a whole tool chain, tool work, something that I'm not using. There's a term for it, but to be honest, I am entirely too tired to remember English words for things, so we'll keep it at I think. I don't think there's any other choice in that regard. It's just gonna have to be like this. As the like Oblivion or whatever text says, like persist in the doomed reality that you have created. It's like, no, there's no reloading a save. It's unfortunately going to have to stay like this. English module not available. My apologies, but am I really sorry about that? Not sure. I will get back to you in 1 to 5 business days. I'm thinking this tree, the big tree here, I'm thinking if I move it more like this, it's gonna look... Oh, there's still grass over here, I forgot. I either move it somewhere over here, but this is kind of in the way, or maybe I move it back. So it's like a little bit less. Because I generally want this part to be a little more exposed and contrast with the background, which I'm not sure how to do with the tree. Maybe I make the moss on it a little more, like, more green and brighter. And then that kind of naturally contrasts with the other layer that I want to actually show to people. It's a little difficult with that. Like, you want something to show up, but you also then don't want to destroy the colors of everything. Like, for example, if I use like this highlight here, it looks like a blob. It doesn't belong. It's not quite what I like it to be. And then if I'm actually maybe making it darker in places is also a sensible choice, because part of this like foreground log is actually bright because I have like highlights, the blue highlights on it, and then the yellow highlights from the light inside. So perhaps it's something to be considered. And then the layer with the like orange autumn tree in it, I think we move that as well to the side, like in this direction, and then we maybe, oh yeah, something like this. It's like I want the... Ooh, I could move it all the way up here. I like this, I like this. Okay, so the point is I want this hole to be visible as well, but not like quite. Because the nice trick for making things look a little more interesting is that layering generally makes things look interesting. So if you draw things in layers, which is what you usually do with digital drawings, right? And I have layers here. It's like very easy to kind of keep everything isolated, and it's easier when you do that because then you don't have to like paint over things, and things are nice, like nice and cleanly entirely on top of one another or entirely below the other layers. But want to make things more interesting, introduce interactions between layers, and then suddenly it's not so obvious that you are even using layers in the first place. It's a little cheat code. It's fake. You made it up. Something like that, anyway. It's like, you know, let's stack a little colors on top of that, maybe. Maybe have a little roots of the tree, and then that makes very little sense, so we'll patch it up, patch it around. Do you like having the tree like this? Maybe like add some pebbles on top of it to like blend it a little better. I don't know if this looks good, but I think we'll roll with it. And then worst case scenario, it doesn't look good, and then I get rid of it and replace it with something else. Which I don't think is particularly egregious as a concept. I think people sometimes do that when they make things. They just throw things and replace them with other things. I don't think that's illegal, so I shouldn't be in trouble with the feds. Granted, there's other things the feds might be upset about, but this in particular, no. We are not letting them have this one. It's gonna be fine. I'll of course not disclose the other things I'm in trouble with the feds about, because I think there's like a certain clause that says that if you do that, there's bad things they can do. So I admit to nothing. I admit to nothing. You are not allowed to hold me accountable for anything because I've done nothing. That's right. You have no proof. What do you call the Polish feds? Well, it's not like we are like a federated government, so we don't exactly have feds, but I guess the WSI, you could say, the military informational service, I think, in a loose translation. Don't take that to the bank, because I'm not sure how accurate it is, but it sounds somewhat accurate to what they do. Although I don't know if that wasn't disbanded. We have like also the like internal security agency, but that's internal, so it's not quite like the feds. I don't really think we have the equivalent of like the FBI over here. We just have the police, and then the police investigates things, which I actually am not sure why that isn't like that in America, because it seems like, you know, you already have the police, and it's generally the job of police to investigate crime, so then why is there another separate thing that's called the Bureau of Investigation that also investigates crime? I guess it's because there's no, like, federal police, and then you need something on the federal level to actually handle... But I guess police between states could cooperate, and then you don't need, like, a whole federal bureau. You could just have certain things for cooperation between states. So, in short, I've got no idea why the FBI even exists. Now, to be frank, I've not looked up any information. That's the main reason why I don't know that, is because I've just put absolutely zero effort into knowing it. Just to be perfectly clear for the record. Yeah. Do you want an answer to this question? I have a sneaking suspicion the answer is going to involve somebody wanted more power in certain places, and so they created a bureau that's directly like under the president, for example, like something like that. It's like, if you have like a short answer, I'm down to hear it. But I am speculating for fun. That is also true. It's a multi-purpose ramble that I'm on. I figured it out in that is in fact the answer. Yeah, there you go. See, it's like once you, it's like with generally with noticing patterns. It's like you start noticing patterns, and then you have like this sneaking suspicion that perhaps, just maybe, this is just another case of the same pattern repeating again. And then you're like, but there's no way they would do that, right? And then you find out that, in fact, yes, there is a way that they would do that, and in fact, that's what happens all the time. Patterns repeat. It's crazy. Should we make patterns illegal? Thoughts? I think we should. I think if there's a pattern, you just have to bin it. Throw it in the garbage. We are not allowed to have patterns. Patterns enable pattern recognition, and pattern recognition enables horrifying and bad things that we should never have like happen and be done. We should make pattern recognition also illegal, but I think it's easier to make patterns illegal in the first place, because then if there's nothing to recognize, then there's no pattern recognition, and if there's no pattern recognition, there's no problems. Right? Thoughts? I should get into politics. I clearly... excellent ideas here. I really shouldn't get into politics. Well, I'm not entirely disinterested in politics, but please don't make me go into politics. I'd hate it there. Anyway, about not politics. Cliff. Yes? What? Where did that yellow come from? Is it like on a layer below and I somehow selected that? I've got no clue where that yellow came from. I just suddenly I was painting yellow and nobody had any explanation for the cause. Now this blends in with the background because I changed the color of the background, and so I've brought a plague upon myself. That how do I resolve this problem? I think I moved the tree again. That's right. Yeah, I think that solves the issue pretty much. It looks better over here anyway. This was the plan all along, actually. That this was entirely intended. I had this in mind the whole time. That there's no such thing as an accident. It's because I am always 7,000 million steps ahead, and so anything that you might think is an accident is actually planned all along. And if I say, you know, if I act surprised, and if it looks like I'm surprised, it's because I'm playing. It's theater. It's important. Never let the enemy know your next move, you know? And this applies to anything you do ever. Just never know people in general know your next move. I've taken this doctrine so far that I don't know my next move myself. Surprise myself all the time. It's like, what are we doing? I don't know. We'll figure it out as we go along. Now that is an answer you did not expect. What are you gonna do about it? And there's no answer. Nobody ever does anything about it. Okay, but why are those rocks purple? You feeling me? Like, I'm having the same moment as before with the other drawing, where it's like, why are the trees green? And I was like, that's a good point. Why are the trees green? Who whitelisted that decision? Let's make them a different shade of purple instead, shall we? Apparently that's what I'm doing. Different shade of purple. Like, this makes more sense. And by this makes more sense, I mean, I feel like this is gonna work if I sufficiently adjust it enough. That's really bright. I don't want this to be that bright. It's like I want this to still be a little brighter. Still a little concerned about the layers not feeling a bit like there not being enough in terms of contrast between the layers so that they all kind of blend together. Temporarily highlight all of this with blue, I guess. That kind of separates it from the background. Is it cheating? Perhaps. You could perhaps call it cheating. It could be the case that it is cheating. Cheating. To call it, to do that. Okay, the layer with the log, I don't like it still. There's something wrong with it. Maybe it's because it's like too... Well, there's like a whole part of the tree there. We'll keep it there. We'll pretend it doesn't exist. It's okay. It's fine. I'm thinking of moving the log somewhere like over here. Mayhaps. Or maybe actually... Because I also don't want it to feel like the... I think having it higher is better. And my reasoning for that... What is this layer? Oh, we have like a whole thing here on the wrong... That's awesome. The whole reason for why I think this is a good idea is I think it adds a little variety. It's not just like it goes down as you go further. There's like more to it than that. That's my thought process behind making this layer higher than this layer. It's very sophisticated, I realize. Only the highest quality of thought and challenging intellectual discoveries on this channel. I think this is too bright. Like, I've made it a different color, and I think it's a good idea for it to be a different color, but... Probably shouldn't be having it quite as bright. Let's shift just this. Can I even make it colorful? Yes. Okay. What direction do I shift it in, though? That is the question. Like, surely I would make it more blue. Or perhaps, like, desaturated red, maybe? Like, this is red. And then darken it significantly, but not quite. I mean, this is certainly more fitting. But I feel like the shade is not quite correct, because it should be... Like, red is the way to go, but it's like this orangey red. Then desaturate that and darken it, so that it desaturated further, maybe. And then rotate like this. Like, I think that's a little better because it's more brown. But then I think it needs to be desaturated as well, because it's a... Because every other tree is not really all that saturated. That's literally the thought process. There's not much more to it. I'm thinking it sticks out if it's not. Yeah, that's a little better. And then maybe the whole layer, make the whole layer brighter. But maybe more blue. How about blue? Shift the whole layer towards... That's purple. I am... Things, just like things keep evolving into crabs, in this drawing, things keep evolving into purple, apparently. Now, the keen-eyed observer might notice that that's probably because of the color scheme I've chosen, which involves blue and a little bit of purple. But that seems to be too high level for my brain. I will remain amazed at what is happening, despite being the cause and reason for those things happening. I kind of like this color, just make it blend with what it's actually laying on. You just want to talk about painting? I just wanted to talk in general. I was in the mood for spewing absolute nonsense, and I was hoping nobody would notice. But I think you've noticed. It might have been my great deception might have been found out. I did not in fact bring my own topic. I brought literally zero topic, and I thought, I will just spew nonsense forever. No, in reality, I don't have a particular topic. I've been kind of too busy to think recently. I've been like forgetting what time is in the meantime, because of just a little too much on the plate, a little too much of doing two projects at once, a little bit perhaps, a little bit working on complex systems, and then quickly, and so that ended up with me not having a lot of topics. But if I focus for a little bit, if I think about it, then perhaps I will actually discover something to talk about. Maybe. It could happen. It's entirely possible. I think the reason for why this feels wrong is because the middle color... Whoa. Middle color is wrong. Yeah, that's I think a lot better when you have the highlights like this, and then desaturate these as well, and then make it replace. Nonsense sounded like painting nonsense. I mean, I guess it is in a way, but but I probably said that before you even joined. But I've recently discovered the joy of painting by just you know how some people say it's like vibe coding. I think it's like when you like, I don't know, you like throw stuff into ChatGPT and then hope it works. I don't know why that's called vibe coding. I guess because you have the vibe it's going to work. But the point being, I am vibe painting, by which I mean I do things that feel right and then rationalize them later. It's kind of funny. It's certainly a fun approach where I just do things and then they kind of work out or they don't. Complex systems and their consequences have been disastrous for the human race. You could say that. But then I am painting this painting on quite a complex system. So then you think society has issues, but you still participate in society. Curious. I am very intelligent. Oh yeah, you know what? Push notifications have been a disaster for the human race. It is in fact very difficult to implement push notifications. It's very complex. And then, you're getting a push notification that could have been an email. We could have been sending out emails, but instead we have to have a push notification because that's trendy. Actually, you know what? If there's one thing in terms of technology that I think was an absolute mistake, it's search engine optimization. Oh, how I hope that was never a thing and we just got rid of all SEO forever. I think SEO just serves to make the internet worse, because effectively gaming a system that is created for a purpose, and then you have whole positions and a lot of people that are basically there to break the system so it doesn't do what it's actually intended to do, and instead serves you random garbage filled with ads and then content written by ChatGPT so that Google positions the article better or something like that. I hate SEO with a burning passion. Especially since, I do dabble in web stuff, and so I do have to come into contact with it, because blah, blah. Curious? I don't remember when I said curious and what it was in reference to. I apologize. Boom. Okay, perhaps we add a little bit of tree over here. It's collapsed, so there's branches. This is the same shade? I trolled myself. I thought that I did not realize that this is the same color as this. I guess I guess it goes to show how important context is for perceiving, for color perception. It's it's the context darker, so it looks different. Wow. I literally made one of these little things. You would never believe these two squares are the same color, but live, and made it for myself. That's excellent. I'm thinking maybe this should be this funny overhang with not that much in terms of supportive anything. Maybe? Undecided. We'll come back to this later. It's a surprise tool that will help us later. Bang. No, that doesn't look good. Unbang. Cancel that. Scratch it. Plaintive? No, not plaintive. Bailiff? Is it called bailiff? Or is it bolliff? No, surely it's bailiff, because bolliff sounds stupid, and they would never call something that sounds stupid in the legal system, right? Wouldn't happen, because they treat themselves very seriously. Pursuing magic bullet solutions and the consequences have been disastrous for the human race. The human race has been disastrous for the human race, in fact. Human nature, disaster. For the human race. We've in fact had a lot of trouble stemming from human nature. Perhaps we should get rid of that. I think some people are in fact on that case as we speak. I think that is already a solution that somebody has cooked up and is trying to make real. The curious, oh yeah, the participating in society. That's like a comic. Bailiff, okay. Yeah, it's not bolliff. But you know why I associate it with bolliff? Associated with bolliff because there's this meme which is a reference to something which I don't know, but it's bailiff whack his pee-pee. And there's a very distorted picture of a judge with the hammer, the gavel, something like that. I remember that word because there's an icon that represents it that that is called that. And that's why I remember what it's called. Sorta, kinda, a little bit. Okay, now I've made these two layers kind of like nicely work together into themselves, which kind of happened by accident, but I will take it, in fact, and pretend it was on purpose. So you heard nothing. It actually works perfectly because I designed it like that. And there's no accidents, as previously established. No such thing as an accident. Just, things happen for good reasons. Boom. Something like that. Yeah, nice. Nice and blended, I think. Okay, so how about... the next step is we go into the inside here, because like one thing is that this is completely like undefined. I had a shape in mind for it. Let's see. So this is like, whoa, no, wrong layer. This I want to like shave and trim a little bit, and then maybe get rid of that as well, because it just confuses the mind. It boggles the mind. I gave that gavel. That's Judge Judy. Okay. Excellent. It's I assume it's like one of these shows where it's like a court show. Like courtroom show, whatever you would call them, where it's like, because I assume these are not actually like real court cases, or if it's like reality TV but in the court, or something like court themed reality TV. Or are those actual real cases? Because that would be really funny if they like actually made people like made a show out of just the court system, which is I guess what LawTube is doing, right? It's like lawyers that stream court cases. It's like that's basically what they are doing, just taking court cases. Like, this is kind of funny, lol. And I gotta agree, sometimes people litigate quite funny things. I would say that sometimes following litigation is quite funny. Especially when it's like goofy stuff. Someone's like mad about something, some absolute nonsense. It's less funny when you get sued for that absolute nonsense and it like lasts for 5 years. Then it's, I think, less funny. Although it's still funny to look at, it's just less funny for the sued party, I guess. A reality TV courtroom show. Like, surely that's not a real case then. Like, surely it's not real cases. It's just like, it's like they make them up. Real cases? So is she an actual real judge? Do they like televise them afterwards, or how's it work? I'm entirely unenlightened on Judge Judy, or TV for that matter in general. How about, do I make that happen? I think no. I think over here would be a good place to have like a little branch stick out from this tree. Although that kind of goes against that I wanted in the background, but we'll make it happen. Why is this not painting? Am I stupid? Is there like an overlaid? Yes. Do not answer the question. I answered it myself. Thank you. This layer. Real cases, real people, Judge Judy. The show's tagline. Okay. I see how it is. It's like they sacrifice some people's sanity for... I guess it's like, for... I guess it's like a lot of people would agree to things like that because they just want to be famous. It's something I kind of sometimes fail to factor into the equation, because I sometimes see like the financial audit shows, etc., where people like call in, it's like, oh, you've spent like several $1 million on DoorDash because you're stupid and fat. It's like, in my first thought, it's like, why would I subject myself to that? But then I gotta remember that sometimes people want to be famous, and it's an actual motivation, and they want to be famous enough so that being called fat and stupid is actually, if that's a viable path towards being famous, then they will take it. And then it's like, surely if you are just normal and don't have much interest in being famous, you just don't appear on there, so it like self-selects for people that would be brazen about that. Not that ashamed. Because then if you're ashamed, you just don't call into that show. I don't know. I don't know if it's like mostly an American thing, and then it kind of got imported everywhere, where basically everything becomes entertainment, or if that's just part of human nature, you know, bread and circuses and all that, where people just generally like people find things interesting, and then there's always money and in doing interesting things for people, so a lot of the important things get turned into some form of entertainment, because why not? Judy, rulings aren't fully binding is in the show agreement. How is it not fully binding if it's a real court case? I don't... Surely if it's a real court case, you would have the ruling be binding, right? Like, how else would that work? Are they just like, no, sorry, we take it back, actually. We didn't mean it. We didn't mean the court case. We didn't mean the ruling. I don't understand how that would function, to be honest. Sounds quite strange. But yeah, entertainment, everything is entertainment, is an idea that I guess you can't really escape. I mean, I suppose you can escape, because you can just not watch it. There's like this life hack where you just do not click on the material and then do not consume the product, and then you kind of get away from it. But then a lot of other people are plugged in, so it kind of still affects you by proxy. It's like enough that you have one person in your like vicinity consuming, I don't know, politics as content, and then you will kind of get by osmosis. You will still get a bit of it. You don't have to follow it yourself, and even if you distance yourself from it, it's not exactly easy to get off the train. Mr. Bones' wild ride continues, regardless of whether you show interest or not. This whole branch I just don't like. I'm removing this whole branch. Is what some guy probably said about the judicial branch at some point when he saw Judge Judy. You know, that's what happened. That's my headcanon about Judge Judy. She got the whole judicial branch disbanded. They decided, no, if they're gonna make that a reality TV show, I don't want it anymore. We are cancelling the judicial branch entirely. The judicial branch is no more. By edict of, I don't know, whoever makes that decision made that edict. It's real, but if they don't like the conclusion, they can appeal to a different judge. As in, it's like a bonus appeal, or is that just a normal, like, appeal where... Or is it like a special... Did they, like, carve it out in the law or in the actual court system? It's like... This is like a kind of question trial, and if you don't like it, we actually give you a second shot at a trial that isn't televised, just so that doesn't interfere with justice. That's kind of cool if they actually have like a carve out for that. Very human, you know, which is not exactly the... Very human is rarely the thing that comes to mind when it comes to systems like the judicial system or law in general. It's like very human is about the last thing I'd attribute to anything involving lawyers, you know? That it's perhaps harsh. Now that may strike some viewers as harsh, but I realize, and I do not apologize for that. I think expanding this like little spike a little bit here is just a good thing to do. Why is that so yellow? Why did I make that so yellow? It's ridiculously yellow. Bonus appeal, okay. Show contract, also they pay both people's costs. Ah, okay, that actually does make a lot more sense why you would participate in something like that. Especially if you get the costs paid and you get to gamble on the ruling. It's interesting. Oh, there you go, that's a topic. Like, I've at some point realized, and it's not a particularly profound observation because it's kind of in your face, but I've noticed at some point just how much of entertainment is just gambling in various forms. It's interesting, especially with like modern games. That's what I'm mostly talking about. It's like you look at modern gaming, and so much of that entertainment in general comes from just straight up gambling. It's like you open loot boxes or you like gamble for different characters, etc. It's like just basically random chance that you don't have control over. It's very weird in terms of why people find that so entertaining. I mean, I guess you could say addiction, but sure, I don't think that explains all of it. Maybe it does. But like really though, it's like how people get excited about Counter-Strike cases, and I'm like, this is like, it's like Valve with Counter-Strike 2. It's like, oh, we brought over all these features about opening cases, and then we are bringing in more updates where you can open more cases and you can gamble. It's like people get excited by that. It's like, bro, if I play a video game, right? If I play a video game, the whole point of me playing the video game is to play the video game, and I play video games because I like the mechanics. Right, it's like I go into the block game and I go fast in it and I place blocks and I do funny stuff like boating down a gigantic cliff because the mechanics are fun. You know, it's entertainment. It's entertaining to play the game and engage with the mechanics. And then gambling is just like you press a button and you waste money. How is that fun? You know? How is it fun for you to just spin the wheel? I guess it's like because of the additional emotional kick you get from there being money on the line and it being a more risky endeavor. It like produces the appropriate brain chemicals in there when you do the gamba. The video game isn't shooting people anymore. The video game's now opening cases. It feels like that. But even like on top of that, even within the game, right? I find it quite fun to, for example, go for AWP no-scopes. And something about AWP no-scopes to understand why this is relevant is that they are almost entirely random, because the whole point is you are supposed to scope in with the AWP in order to have an accurate shot, and then it takes a little bit of time for it to become accurate after scoping in. But you know, it's effectively, so if you go for AWP no scopes, you're effectively going for gambling, and that's a very fun form of actually playing the game for me. To just like, you know, put myself in a situation where it's when I just go for the no scope, despite it's like, I guess it's kind of similar to how throwing can be fun sometimes, and I'm gonna be honest, throwing is fun. When you just go, and instead of playing the game, like taking the game seriously, you just go for goofy stuff all the time. I think it's used to just, yeah, I think it's used to just, it was just called having fun with the game before the advent of everything being super mega competitive and having to take the game seriously and grind for the ranks, etc. It's just, you just used to have fun with the game, and that's what that was. Before, in ye olden times. You can just, you could do that. It's interesting. It's discourse that's kind of happening in the TF2 sphere, or like vaguely. That's kind of where I think I mostly got oriented on the topic, where TF2 used to be very, very laid back, and it still is, despite casual mode being a travesty. But TF2 is like it's a very casual. This is why I like single player games. Yeah, it's a very casual environment. It's like it kind of has the essence of just a guy described, one of the voice actors for the game, I think, described it as like a chat room with guns, which is what TF2 I think used to be. Is a very good description where you just, you are there to mostly hang out, and it doesn't really matter what happens in the game, or like who wins or who loses, or if the game even is being played really. But there's a bunch of mechanics you can engage with on whatever level you want to, and then there's nothing really telling you that what your level should be and that you should be taking the game seriously. Like, it's designed in ways that naturally funnels people towards certain things, like towards the objective, for example, pushing the cart, etc., etc. But there's nothing in the game that says you have to do that, right? It's not like in Counter-Strike, for example, you connect to a server and it's like, oh, you agree to follow the fair play guidelines, and you're which, like, part of it is you agree to play to win, effectively, because, well, it's a competitive game, right? So surely in a competitive game you gotta play to win. Because, for example, if you're throwing, then there's also a problem with the matchmaking system, because the whole matchmaker is built around people, trying to win, and then finding matches between groups of people that all try to win and wanna find opponents of similar skill. And then if you're stupid, and run around and jump and go for no scopes, then that's not funny. But then, it's like but it's not quite as fun if you do it in casual. Perhaps because casual is just a different game mode. And then part of the fun is doing it with and on people that are there to actually take the game seriously. It's a good point about single player games. It's in general, when you like actually play kind of against the game itself and just interact with the mechanics, there's a lot of the constraints that kind of happen with multiplayer games don't happen. Another thing is, you could call it, I guess, skill inflation, where like over time, and as often you get people who just have been playing the game for a long time and got really good at it, and then it kind of ruins the spirit of actually it ruins the spirit of actually playing the game, because you've got that guy who's really, really good and he just stomps on everyone. And then if you want to have fun and not die over and over again, you get that one guy who's tryharding, and then he can ruin the game. It depends on game design as well, because in TF2, for example, if you get a good guy on sniper, then you can't peek any corner, and the game becomes a do not walk anywhere simulator. Which, if you can believe it, it's not very fun to play, actually. A lot of the mod for Escape from Tarkov to be able to play single player. Yeah, I can imagine, especially for something like that, is where, especially because my only real exposure to Tarkov is like video where a guy exposes how many cheaters there are in the game. I don't know how accurate that was, but that's effectively my only exposure to it. And I can imagine in a game where you lose a lot of time and investment, where you die to... You can easily die to cheaters and then, or just straight up be outskilled. It's like having that just experience where you just play the game and engage with the mechanics without that stipulation, and without having to think, like, oh, that guy was cheating. It's like, well... It's a bot, like, it's an offline local bot, so I doubt the local offline bot is cheating. It's probably not happening, thankfully, yet. We've not invented, we've invented cheating bots for TF2, but that's quite a different ordeal, you could say. Oh, this is on the same layer, that's not great, not a great choice by past me, who's decided to do it that way. I don't quite approve, to be honest. Not very happy about that particular design choice. To put everything on one layer, if you can believe it. In retrospect, not a great plan, not a great idea, not a great choice. 0 out of 10. It's okay, we'll rebuild something like that, and then Maybe give it a little bit of highlights on the edges. I've been, in terms of single player, I've been playing Minecraft, I guess. But I've been playing it weird. I've been playing it probably the opposite of how people would normally say they play Minecraft, because it's like a lot of people are like lean into the sandbox aspect of Minecraft, and I'm quite the opposite. I find the sandbox aspect of Minecraft a lot of the time, it's like, and I don't know how much of this is actually skewed by, for example, Minecraft YouTube being popular, but you can very easily, and people have done it, you can turn Minecraft into a job effectively. Where, you know, you the scale of things that you are supposed to do is just so big that it becomes like a whole ordeal to actually obtain the resources and then do the things that you want to do. And I feel a big culprit for that, for example, is the terrain generation changes they've introduced in more recent versions, where the world generally feels bigger. They've upped the limit of like how far it goes up and down, but in general, caves generate bigger, like biomes generate bigger. It feels like, you know, you have the cliffs, the caves and cliffs updates, so you get you get like bigger things, and that effectively means that if you're just kind of chilling and don't want to do a lot of things, then you either don't engage with the game in that way, or you go for mods that make it actually simpler and more manageable to do things without having to, you know, hire yourself for a second job where you click on blocks in a video game, which is not exactly what the game's about in the first place. Like, for example, I've become convinced because I played a little mod pack that a friend put together. I've been playing a little bit of that, and I've become convinced that it's actually perfectly fine to have a mod that allows you, for example, to mine a bigger area at one time with your pickaxe. So just if you want to make a room for something, you don't have to mine each block individually. You can just mine an area, and it uses your pickaxe durability as it would for all those blocks, but just does it at one time. And it's like, and it's actually perfectly fine to play with that, and it makes the game more fun because you can focus on actually doing the cool stuff instead of, let me hold mouse 1 for several million years while, you know, a loading bar fills up, and I'm actually allowed to make the thing I want to make in the first place. Yeah, you get like a bunch of people that made Minecraft their job, and then it kind of seems like the game's sometimes designed with that in mind. It's generally interesting in terms of generally like community feedback, and if you are a developer for a popular game, and Minecraft I think is the most popular game ever, at least I'm fairly certain. If not the most, it's one of the most. It's hard to actually gauge the feedback from your players because there's just so many of them, and it's very hard to actually tell what people think versus what is what people think versus what is the opinion of the small group of people that have a particular view on the game by nature of them, you know, making it their job. It's like very different for someone who kind of, you know, I don't know, builds stuff in Minecraft for a living effectively by making content about it, versus someone who just plays Minecraft a little bit for fun and just wants to build like goofy houses. It's like, oh, we have all these new blocks in the color palette and we can make that happen and this and do that. It's like, we can make all these systems with these new blocks. It's like, okay, but I don't exactly, you know, I don't want to make it my job to design a whole system, and then, you know, if you end up offloading making that system to someone on YouTube and then watching a tutorial, then it's like, are you even playing the game really, or are you just, you know, somebody else has played the game for you, figured it out, and then you're just implementing that into your own thing, but it's like, it's not yours, like you didn't come up with it. So that part of the gameplay, like, wasn't, you didn't do that part of the gameplay at all. depends on who you're building the game for, what their motivations are. Because it's interesting, because I think it also transforms a lot, right? Because if you... Nice voice crack. If you have a game like Minecraft, then it's very long running, and then it has like a dedicated player base on one hand, but it like has... Like in terms of popularity, there's also not just that you have the YouTubers being a direct feedback to the developers, but also the YouTubers and people that kind of make content and talk about the game influence how other people play the game. So then it's a matter of not just that you just get feedback from these people and it's skewed because they have a large following, and so, but they also have a disproportionate impact on what people even think the game is and how it should be played and how people actually play it and engage with it. There's like an interesting... It's an interesting conundrum where if you design like the game for the quote-unquote average Joe, and the average Joe is probably a guy who just kind of plays the game and doesn't actually talk that much about it, because he's there for the entertainment factor of the game, and so he's mostly playing it and then going about his business, because he's probably somewhat busy and doesn't have time to make the video game his entire career and life. So then you kind of naturally have people that, have the most free time on their hands are the ones that become the most vocal and then have the most sway, but that becomes... That can very easily not be very representative of what like the majority or the average, the Joe average actually thinks. Actually, I think this is not particularly profound. It's like seems very obvious, but sometimes these thoughts just go through my head a little bit before I return to regularly scheduled not thinking. Sometimes I think a little bit. I have to honestly admit that sometimes I happen to think. It sometimes does sneak into my routine. Is it a mistake to think? Maybe. Could be. I don't know, games are an interesting medium. I think perhaps because they are also still new in a lot of ways. Not quite as established, so there's it's still in a lot of ways we are still figuring out how to actually make games in a way, and what makes them entertaining and what makes them interesting that isn't just, something that could be done in another medium. So a lot of the time especially when you get like indie games, like, did you really have to make it a video game? As in, it's like, could you not make a comic book and then I don't have to hold a W for 15 minutes to actually experience the story you wanted to tell? Because I think Jonathan Blow talks about it, where it's like, it's the question of how much of the experience you're providing with your game. Gotta go. Alright, bye-bye. How much of the experience that you are having with your game, like conveying through your game, is actually about the game, and how much of it is effectively just another medium embedded in the game. So it's like text or like visuals. Because like that's... Because the story, telling story through cutscenes and text and lore, etc. is not too unique to games. You can do it in effectively any medium. And then you bring these media over to the game and combine it. And that makes it not a game thing, really. I don't know. I'm not even particularly sure about what I'm doing with that, like where I'm going with that thought. Point being is like games are interesting as a phenomenon, you could say. Anything else to say on video games, video games? Not really. I think I got it out of my system. A little bit. Okay, like I don't like this, what this guy's hand looks like, or arm. So I'll probably get rid of it. Oh, actually, wait. We can make him sit up more, like lean back a little more. I think that's gonna work nicer. I don't know how well that. Wait, I can actually select this through colors because the hair is gonna have a unique colors from the rest of the body. So I can just select these. These what? Huh, I won't tell you. Okay, select all of that, and then move it. Oops. Whoa, whoa, whoa. And then we move it to the side. Like you see the vision, kind of what I'm getting at with this. I think it's gonna work. I think I'll figure it out. Trust the process. Trust the process. By the end of the process, we'll be good again. Yeah, I think something like this is cool. It's cute. A little bit of a little guy. Straight up leaning. Napping a little bit, maybe. Maybe doing a little bit of sleeping. Sleeping on the job would never happen. What layer is that? There's a layer in front of this. Oh, this. Okay, get rid of that, I think. For reasons. And then... yeah, something like this. Boom. Maybe? Mayhaps? Get a little shape on it, right? Like... something like this. I think it should be bending slightly that way. And then maybe... oh yeah, that looks good. I think I nailed it. Kind of like Peanuts style bows, I think, but that's nice. Okay, and then I think decreasing the intensity of this thing would be nice. It's like very... it's too large still. I think I might literally just shrink it. Wait, not the whole thing, just the inside. Control T. Yeah, I think this is better. Yup. Just a straight up improvement by shrinking that immensely. Improves the... because it's not so obnoxiously large now. And this guy? This guy is big. Maybe move him. Yeah, that's cute. Okay. I feel like I've barely moved from what was there at the start, but maybe that's just because I like gradually changed it, and so I just don't remember anymore. I think this could use to be a little bit of like effectively like a little bit of wood like that going across. I think this makes sense. And then maybe actually I could maybe shorten it like that. I think I like this. I think this is a good idea. This is a good plan, like cut into this. The side of it, so it's like a little more compact, because that also unlocks more space behind it. Ooh, I like this. I like this. Look, make this like a little stick out thing. And then all you have to do is just throw a bluish highlight on these two to make them stand out a little bit from the background, and then we are free to manipulate the background itself a little bit. Mayhaps yeah, it's like a little more open and a little more crashed, I think, in terms of the log. And then maybe we highlight these a little bit, just to give it a little more definition, because if there's no highlight, it's basically just flat. The highlight gives it a little bit of shape, a little bit of thickness, if you wish, if you were to call it that. Okay, and then this, I think, just turning it darker would be, because Ori is bright and is shiny, so makes for a decent background to him if it's just dark. And then I can gradient a little bit around to make it appear as he's glowing a little bit. I don't know if this makes him glow. Not really. It would have to be desaturated, because he's not blue. It's not like straight up blue. He's more into the grays, I think. Like something like that would be what we'd have to do in order to make him feel like he's glowing. And then have like a little inner highlight as well. I might keep it like this, because that's kind of what he has in the game as well. So just give him a little. Like, he already felt like he was glowing, so I think it only makes sense to finish the job. Although I probably should be doing these on like different layers, admittedly. I regret to inform everybody that I in fact am throwing all of this on one layer, and it's and it might not be the brightest idea I've ever had, because it's gonna make things difficult in a moment, presumably. I still like the idea of having like the inside be a little more log textured. But then the problem with that is when I do that, it blends with the foreground, and when it blends with the foreground, I have a problem, because it shouldn't be doing that. So I'm thinking maybe that is not just a bad idea straight up to do, and the inside should be darker, and then maybe we just like generally simplify this background a lot. Where it's like, you know, something like this. I am improvising a lot, admittedly. I have got no clue what I'm doing and if it's going to work or not. It could, but it also can not work just as easily. It's a big mystery. Point being, you can mix the yellow. If you mix yellow and blue, you get green. So we could have like a desaturated green here, maybe. Or like the front of him, so it's like this is where the light actually combines from both like himself and the thing, the object, the spirit container, if you want to use the terminology from the actual video game in question. Video games, am I right? Bang. Okay. I wanted to perhaps add a little decoration to the inside. I'm not sure if I'm still gonna do that. Maybe. Not quite certain what I want there. I think the transition between the last layer and the background is quite harsh. Maybe what I should be doing is I should grab this, Control X, Control V. Control V. Am I allowed to paste? I think I lost my paste privileges. Control X, Control V. Why can't I paste? Am I stupid? Control X. I genuinely do not understand why I can't copy and paste. Edit, cut, sharp, paste. I don't know, the keyboard shortcuts broke or something. I don't know. I could not tell you. Yeah, we'll fill the entire layer with that. This actually kind of looks better without this, because this is the wrong color. Like it should be, because I ended up making everything a little purple. So yeah, it shouldn't be saturated. It should be something like this. And then maybe move it. So it's not quite that. What the hell happened? I have quite a good eye for color. Thank you. I really appreciate that, because I've not done, I guess I've done a bunch of things with color, but I generally don't. A lot of the things I do are just I do a lot of black and white drawings in terms of like just line work and comic, and I'm trying to learn a little more about actually picking colors and arranging things together. It's a little slow on the process. It's an iterative process. I just like figure out what to do as I go along. But I'm quite happy with the result myself. I think it's pleasant to look at, which is all I really strive for with these. It's just, I like things to be pleasant to look at, you know? I do see myself getting better, I think. Oh, what? No, this is not actually good. Thank you. You've allowed me a little bit of self-indulgence. I appreciate it. Mayhaps like a little rock structure like that. Maybe a little sharper angles on something would be no problem. Oh yeah. It's awesome. No, it's fun. It's fun to be doing this. I quite enjoy. I was talking about like before when I find it quite fun to just start painting things, because it's the way I do it is very not calculated and not thought through. I just kind of go in there and slap colors around and adjust things and change them until I feel like, oh, this looks actually good. So that's effectively the process I've been running through with this as well. It's quite nice for just relaxing. Just, you know, it's like, I'll let the process happen in a way. I'll let it just I'll let the process conduct itself. This is too saturated, I've noticed. Why is the threshold like that? Too harsh. And then I want the other tool that selects the color from the entire thing. How do I adjust it? Maybe desaturate is enough. Yeah, desaturate is already much better. I'm thinking of introducing a little more of this like kind of purple to this layer. To make them cross-pollinate them a little better. That's too dark. That's way too dark. Oh, there you go. Okay, so like a little bit of this and just add it. Something I've not quite figured out yet is like this. If you look at paintings, very often you will find that people add like a little bit of a random different color that seemingly doesn't quite fit the overall composition, but it actually makes it make more sense in the general feel that the image has. I've not quite figured out how and when and which colors to actually add like that. It's a little curious, but we might actually try it, because for this, like for example, this blue is kind of serving that purpose, but not really. I think if I were to take this and like introduce like a wild, well, maybe not that saturated, but introduce a color like this, you know, but maybe like darker, less saturated, so it doesn't quite stick out as much, but it's like, or maybe actually saturated, but bring it with, yeah, something like this, right? It's like bring something like this into the thing, and then what it does, it I think makes the palette actually more interesting to look at. I've got absolutely zero like theory to explain why and how this works, but I think it makes a degree of sense. And same with like blue. Like I could introduce a dark saturated blue somewhere in here and make the colors of the log a little more interesting. I guess it's like more impressionistic question mark then, because it's more about the actual feel you get when you look at the palette more than the actual exact palette that you use on the thing. It's like you allow yourself the, like this log is apparently pink, which it doesn't feel like it's pink because it's because of the context. Like the colors, you perceive the colors in the context, and in the context this is actually brown. Just kind of funny to think about. Okay, maybe, perhaps, I should be going to bed soon, because I can feel myself slowing down in terms of the thinking and thing, but a little bit more can't hurt. Maybe. Like this green, maybe, these green splotches could also use, like some, for example, saturated, I don't know, saturated dark green yellow, or like, maybe even like teal. And then, like, don't make it too in your face, but just add a little extra something to the mix. Like maybe blue. Maybe blue in the shade is actually a good choice to use, because blue is like the cool color. And we just expect these shades to be, although I guess we expect the shade to be the ambient color, and the ambient color of this environment is definitely like blue. So introducing a little more to that would make sense. Now this purple I've unsold myself on. I think we need to cancel that and replace it with something else. Like, yeah, a little less saturated, I think we'll do it better. It's a little less in your face, I'm thinking. Yeah, that's kind of good, no? Okay, I'm thinking. I think this layer is actually, I don't like it blending quite as much anymore. I'll fade it so it's a little more in between this layer and the background, and then this layer I'll saturate a little bit and then darken a tinge. Is this too dark? No, that one I made it too bright. Wrong layer, cancel that, scratch it, roll it back. Like saturate a little bit. And then maybe like curves adjustment. So like the darker parts are a little are still dark. Yeah, this is way too dark. That's a lot more in line with like the kind of foggy type background I have going on. Now the edges of this are too samey. I think this, which layer is this? Oh, the big tree. This layer I actually for a change have named. So we can use the wonders of technology, also known as text, to figure out that that is the layer. It's like perhaps there's very little like the original brown color on this tree anymore, because I've slapped a lot of different colors on it. It's okay. Nothing adding several million more splotches of random hues and saturations won't fix. Okay, maybe we can't be too random about it. Maybe it has to like have some rhyme and reason to it. It admittedly, I'm sorry to say, but in fact, yes, the human eye expects patterns and expects certain things to be in certain places. You can't just feed it random garbage nonsense. It doesn't work like that often. Yeah, okay, I see. Because if I do this and things like that, it gives the actual like log. There's like saturated green there that shouldn't be there, certainly. But this shouldn't be empty either. I think it should be like this ground basically. Just a little bit of a color in there. Maybe? Not sure. I'm going on. I'm vibe painting. There's no actual being sure. There's just doing and seeing if it looks good. And if it does, then congratulations. And if it doesn't, then I guess counter congratulations. Something like that. Yeah, I think this is a pretty good point for now. I might cut it off here. I'm getting a little very tired. Maybe I should actually... Wait, no, that's gonna remove all of them. Yeah, maybe cool it with the highlights a little bit. And then increase it with the highlights where there should be highlights like this. Mayhaps, as I keep repeating tonight. No, that shouldn't. Like, it should be on the complete outer edge of this. And then... yeah, maybe like a secondary color like that. Let's like show that we are actually... I think it's not that bad. However, have you considered that I'll keep adjusting it until I convince myself that it was actually bad all along and I actually don't know what I'm doing. How is this? This should be like, this should be a dark color, but I want like a little highlight for this, but I'm not quite sure what color to use. I guess this is good enough. Well, this is kind of too bright. Yeah, I should definitely go to bed. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Yeah, let's just remove everything behind this layer, in fact. It's a great course of action. Just yeet everything. For too long have you been stationed in on my property. Now I demand you get out, stat. I think this trunk is honestly too saturated. Yeah, that's a little more in line with the rest of the layer, don't you think? That was a little too saturated. Either that, or like, I think I do this, I also desaturate this one, so it's like more in line with the layer. And now I bring, because the whole layer is now internally consistent, now I can manipulate a little bit to actually fit into the picture better. So like something like this, and then brighten it maybe. No. Yeah, that's so out of place. I can't believe I didn't notice before. No, I don't want to saturate it. That's definitely not to be saturated, like harshly. I think the tree is basically good where it is. Is the rest of the rocks that are causing issues? Yeah, I know I said I'm going to bed, but have you considered that I lied? It's the simplest way I can explain myself, admittedly. Okay, desaturate, darken. Yeah, why was that so purple? I don't think this should be so purple. I think it should be blue. Because then it fits with the kind of background we have going on. Like, it should be a little bit of saturation, a little bit of color in there. Should be the case. This, I made it worse. So, a little bit of a last try, perhaps. And then I'm really going to bed. Very tired, very tired. And this needs to be brighter. Okay, I think we cracked the code. Because if this is brighter, then something happens. I don't know what yet, but something will happen. We will maybe, like, maybe blend with that layer better. Yeah, something like this, because then it makes more sense. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. It's genuinely Jova. Wait, there's a hole. No, that's not a hole. That's just this layer being a little bit on top. Oh, check it out. Like this. I just realized, like, this is a hole. Yo, this was a... This is a generational discovery. Like, this should also be a hole in the wood, I think. That's gonna look sick. It's like, this is actually like a big connected hole through the whole tree. Is this like even darker? Like the tree has holes in it because it's old, etc. And then we can maybe just operate a little bit on this edge to sell it a little better. Yeah. Yeah. And then maybe like a darker green, like this darker green around this edge. And then that represents the hole. Maybe on a better monitor, like it's more visible. I'm gonna have to hope for that. on my monitor, like you can barely see anything in there. I think it's nice for this to be to have a hole in it. It's a little more interesting to look at that way. I was supposed to go to bed, man. What am I doing? I don't know, it's just, I just really want to grind this image. I just really like it. I think it's like close to being good. Not quite there yet, but close. Outer wood. Yeah, just give it a little bit of shadow, blah blah blah, blah blah blah. My grass is balding. Lol. Okay. Yeah. Okay. He said while saying and clearly seeing that it's not quite okay yet. Okay, he glows more now. I broke the glow actually because I have it on the same layer like an uncertified individual. Let's just call it that. Okay. Boom. The glow, we brought it back. He's glowing again. Thank you for glowing. Excellent. He said, well, not being done yet, still. I like this manually kind of drawn glow. I think it adds a little bit to the feel when it's like manually drawn and not just like an effect. But maybe, just maybe that's cope. I wouldn't know. I would never cope. All right, I think this is a good place to call it. Let's fit to view with and then full screen it for a little bit. I think it's an improvement from what I started with. Actually, you know what? I can show you what I started with as the last thing to do. Visual. Wrong folder. Doodles. It's called 222.png. Insert as new layer. What the hell? Okay, no, on top. So we can cover the entire thing with it. So this is what we started with. This is what I ended it. Apparently I shifted the whole thing to the top and left and I did not even notice. It has a different vibe to it. Like everything became wider. At least it feels like. Everything I moved it up. This is more proportionate, I think, but the foreground could actually be moved down with no issue. Like this, all the way to... yeah, all the way to this layer. This could all be moved down. It would be better for it, just a tiny bit. And then the big tree can be moved back maybe. Like down. A bit more in line with the original because I think that was a little better. No, this is like good. This should definitely be lower. And then actually this also might be moved lower, and then the background also moved lower. Maybe I should introduce like another one of these trees. Yeah, it's a little closer to how it was, but I've certainly changed the tone because of I've shifted from blues into purples and oranges. A little more. I guess I couldn't stick to the to that cold of a color palette. It's gradually gonna become warmer until I make the whole thing warm again, and it's gonna be daylight, and it's gonna be bright. No, I think this is a good cutoff point. Quite happy with this iteration. All right. Thank you very much for showing up, listening, stroking my ego a little bit, a tiny bit. And I shall catch you perhaps later, or maybe never, or maybe I will explode. Maybe a meteor will hit my house and I will die horribly in painful agony. Regardless, yeah, thanks for watching, and